Sangye Chudang Soji Chunang La Chanchu Pando Dani Jasunji Daji Jinso Jibi Sonamji Dola Pinji Sangye Dubraish Sangye Chudang Soji Chunang La Chanchu Pando Dani Jasunji Daji Jinso Jibi Sonamji Dola Pinji Sangye Dubraish Sangye Chudang Soji Chunang Chanchu Pando Dani Jasunji Daji Jinso Jibi Sonamji Dola Pinji Sangye Dubraish. So today I'm going to talk about the mind and in general mind and the Buddhist point of view, from the Buddhist point of view, what we describe the mind. So normally it doesn't have any differences, so much differences between the Buddhist point of mind and the general mind that what we talk about. But there are the two different things. For example, that generally we talk about the mind is more about the consciousness, and the consciousness in Buddhist point of view, that the mind and the consciousness have a little bit different. The consciousness is more like a mental factor from the Buddhist point of view, and the mind, the main mind, it is different than, little bit different than the mental factor. So today I will be more talk about the main mind instead of like mental factors. So actually there is a 51 mental factors when we describe about the mind. So it comes with the mental factor together, but mainly I think we talk about the mind today. So we all know, or we all have the experience that because of our mind, or maybe sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, it's like a nature of the mind. Because of the nature of the mind, it happens there's a two different kind of mind that we describe, such as like a mind, negative side of the mind or positive side of the mind. So knowingly or unknowingly in our daily life that we have lots of difficulties faced, all created by our own mind, but that we even don't know how and why it happened. Yeah. So that's why the role of the mind is one of the most important in our daily life. Sometimes we just follow what our mind says, and then it depends our mood. It depends which part of the mind is arising. Like if you wake up early in the morning, then you receive some phone call, or you meet somebody, your friends, and then if there is some kind of like misunderstandings or such things happen, then your mind, the part of your mind will be generating negative side, and then it will create, and it will follow up with lots of problems. It will create lots of problems because of the ignorance. Yeah. So ignorance is again the one on one main point that leads us in such negative direction. So and generally, so that's a very important thing, that we have to control our mind instead of that mind controls us. Yeah. So whenever we have some kind of situation coming in, the main, sometimes we react, instantly without thinking of it, without, observing on it. We just react on it. So that's why the mind is there. very ready with its mental factors and some other surroundings, is always ready there. And then if something happens suddenly and then without without further investigations that what is the situation is, that we react. And then it's because of the ignorance. We doesn't even know about the situation. We doesn't even investigate about that situation, and then we react on it, and then it itself will create a lots of delusion, unhappiness in your life, unhappiness for your family or your friends, everybody like that. So it happens, but to react on it is another thing that you really have. If you really don't have the control on your mind, then eventually it will lead you in the unhappiness, era. So that's why always, whatever the situations come, at least you give some moments, some little moments to investigate on it. Because mind is the one that makes you happy, and it will make you like such a wrong direction. It will leads you a wrong direction. So that's why mind has potentials, the full potentials of your daily actions, your daily life. And then if you follow exactly what mind wants, then sometime you really will get into difficulties. For example, nowadays, because of the COVID-19, this novel coronavirus, that many of the places, many of the countries, they have to live in the house, for quarantine. Or maybe it's because of the lockdown, you cannot go, and you are used to go out, you are used to go to walk, actively, and now that if you cannot go out, you cannot meet your friends, and so that's why this is the right time that how to practice the mind, and how it functions, how to control your own mind. So this is the right time, I think, maybe, if you can get used to do that. So, for example, that the situation is already there because of the coronavirus, and now every country, many of the countries, suffering from this. You cannot even meet your people, your friends, you cannot meet them. You have to be in your home, So this is the right time that you have to control your mind. It's very important. Other than if you react on it, and then you feel lots of stressful moments, then it will lead bad to worse. We can see in the news there are many people who are who are killing themselves, because of this situation. It's because now your mind is controlling you. If you can control your mind, whenever this kind of discomfort situations coming in, you can control it. You have to give a time for yourself, because as you know, we all take care of ourselves. That's why, and this kind of situation that if you can control your mind, if you know that because of the ignorance or attachment or all this misunderstanding, or we have to understand, because sometime we will be, deceived by our mind that, it will lead us in a wrong direction. It will, it will definitely will help you to become a more stressful life, and that's why it's very important. You really have to observe on it. So you give some time for yourself, then you observe on it. The benefits of being stressful, or you have to observe yourself. What are the benefits? Is there any benefits of being stressful? Or you can, instead of that, you can do something else. Yeah, so you have a potential, you have a every strength that you can lead it in another direction. If you feel distress or too much stress on your mind, and then lots of anxieties, all these things, if it arise, then you have the control on your mind, because you can control, because you own your mind, I think. So that's why you can control on it. But sometimes it is we are too much get used to follow what mind says, and then it will be difficult for you. But it's possible that you can change it. Yeah. So sometimes like you can just give a moments of time in the morning and wake up, and then you take a long breath, and then do some 15-20 minutes of meditation, give yourself a relaxed mind, that it definitely will help in such a situation. So at the same time, every single things are like caused by our own mind. Every single thing is caused by our own mind. So even for example, in the one family, for example, for the husband and wife in your family, and then if they have a mutual understanding, if they don't have a mutual understanding in between, then it is many of the people, they have experiences that will lead us, even lots of problems in the family, because both they take their own stand, and it was been deceived by your own mind. And then you take the stand, and then you don't do any further investigation, that why these are happening. What is the situation? What we have a potential to solve the situation in right way. Just having a thoughts of like the importance and not important things. You really have a potentials of to separate that things. So. In the Buddhist point, from the Buddhist point of view, that we describe the mind is the main mind. We said it's a main mind, and they have 51 mental factors. Yeah. So I'm not going to touch on the 51 mental factors, but so the mind we describe is there's like. It starts with, all leads with the 3 poisons, like the ignorance, attachment, and the dissatisfaction. Yeah, these 3 things. These are the main role that leads sometimes that will lead you to the unhappiness or unhappy life or lots of misunderstandings. So you have to know the ignorance and the attachment and the dissatisfaction. Yeah. So these 3 is the main keys that it will lead you to the wrong direction. Yeah. So from Buddhist point of view, that the mind itself is the as clear as the sun rays. It says. Yeah. Yeah. Semjirang Shinwe Salwa. Like that. But because of this, all the 3 poisons, the ignorance, attachment, and the dissatisfaction, then it will aid up. Even though the mind, the nature of the mind is as clear as the sun rays, but because of these 3 poisons will dilute it. This will mislead you. It will deceive you. Like that. That's why it really have to be very clever yourself. Yeah, how the things these 3 poisons ruin your days, your years, your life. So you really have to be very careful with that. For that, you really need to give your time. As I said, you do some meditations, you read some books on the mindfulness, do some meditations, read something, positive things. When you are such in trouble, then you really need something to read or something to listen, which is positive things, which talks positive things. Yeah. What here I'm saying positive thing is that if it benefits on your life, if benefits you in the situations when you are in the trouble, when you are in such a pain, then if you read this book, if this book or listen some kind of this talk, then if it benefits you, then you must read. Yeah. Instead of that, when you are such a big pain, and again you create yourself, or you plus more and more suffering in your life, then it doesn't work. It will sometime, maybe it will lead you very sorrowful life, until it will lead sometime to the death. That's, we really have to be very careful. And sometimes we very taking easily, and then nowadays there are many cases doing a suicide. Yeah, the school kids, young kids, when they go to when they cannot get such rank or such positions in the school in exams, and they go to they go for the suicide. They think that suicide is the right and the final solution, but it's totally wrong, because your ignorance, it makes you to lead that kind of action. It's very dangerous. Not only the school students, but many, even in the family, business terms, many rich people, poor people, when they do such suicide, it's because of your mind that leads you to do that. They think it will lead you, or it will, just make you think that that is the final solution. If you die, then everything goes. But there is so much more things you can do. Just take another decisions without a suicide. The suicide is not the final solution. It is just making. It's just running away. You're running away from the problems. The problems are, even though it's very difficult to face, but you can just train your mind. Just give a time for yourself, and then it can transform. That kind of situation can be transformed. You can make it like, for example, if you have a solid, pure milk from the cow, and then you add more, or it will dilute it. Same thing. For example, that cow milk is the like a mental distress, for example. And then if you pour the water on it, which is like thinking about the more positive side, and then you add on it, and it will dilute it until it will become a very thin, and sometime it will, even the color will become very thin. So it's the same thing, that when you have that kind of very strong problem, you try to dilute it, you try to make it thinner, you try to make it vanish. You have that potentials. Yeah. As I have talked on earlier talk, that precious human life, I talk on that too. So you have the potential, you have the right, you have your own right on your mind. Instead of taking such decision, that you can turn it in another directions, much happier. Then when you do that, and then you take the benefits of it, and then when you look back, and then you will feel that you are really deceived by your diluted mind. Yes, you are deceiving yourself. That's really, sad. It's really sad if you do that, isn't it? So that's the thing. Sometimes when that kind of potential we have, and we are not using it, instead of that we are reacting every moment, like instantly reacting on it. Even though we call some people are very short-tempered, isn't it? Maybe I have also faced lots of these things, and you may face this kind of situations with other people, maybe sometime yourself. Yeah, short-tempered and so things. So these are the things, when it comes to you, don't run away. And if you run away, then you will be the failure one. Instead of facing it, the right thing to face it is that you have to think the positive ways. That is the right thing you can do. You can do it, Just when some negative things happening to you, try to think positively, like that. Like some when when you have such a pride, and then people say something bad about you, then you will just get really annoyed. Then the right thing is, in that moment you have to think the positive things to dilute that kind of negative mind. You have that potential. Just think that, just make it thinner, as I said, like milk, adding lots of water will dilute its a color and the thickness of it, everything. You can do that. So, at the same thing, that when we do the practice, I mean the Buddhist point of view, that we do the practice, such as we are doing, we are practicing a patience, we are practicing a giving, or we are practicing a loving and kindness, then sometime this negative mind will always disturb you. So you have to know which is right, which is wrong, and what can be done, which is the mind that you have to face one. So for example, that you are practicing compassion, then at the same time, if you have an ego in you, sometimes that kind of negative mind, the negative mind, that ego will destroy everything. If you have an ego and then you're trying, of course everybody has an ego, but it's more and less. Everybody will have some percentage of ego, but don't let that your ego destroy that your practice of compassion, your practice of patience, practice of giving loving kindness, everything. Because sometimes that ego is really dangerous. It will destroy everything. Same thing like that. Even then, attachment, So that all this kind of phenomenon, this kind of mind will be disturbing you. Even you do something, you're trying to do something good. So you have to be very careful with it. And then, that's why whatever it happens in our daily life, and then of course because of the desire, and this is another part again, the desire, it will lead you lots of unending needs. For like that, you have something, like for example, you have a very good bag, for example, really good bag, and then but your desire doesn't end there. You need something more than that. And when you see it is labeled by some kind of what do you call that, branded things, then you will go for that again. It's desire, unending desire. Like for example, you have some such a 2000 model bag, and it is released only a limited editions or something, and then you have that one, and your satisfactions or your desire will not end there. When something new released, again you wanted that, but it really makes it fulfill your desire? I don't think so. If it fulfills your desire, then the desire should be, that kind of desire should be end there, and then when something new released, then you have to have some kind of thoughts that what you have is enough for you. But if because of the desire that you have, attachment and desire, you want something more than that. If you have such a expensive car, yeah, for like a Toyota car you have. But if there's another release, they release a new car in Audi, you wanted that. And then if they have like a very good sporty cars, like kind of Lamborghini or some, this kind of cars, and what do you call it? I also don't know the name of many of these cars, but then your desire will increase it, yeah. It's unlimited, it's really unlimited. So that moment, so that desire will not give you a full of satisfaction. That desire will lead you more and more, I said bad to worse, isn't it? So that's why you have to have some kind of limits, and which make you your inner peace, which leads you the inner peace. It's more important. The outer part, like you have a clothing or car or house or everything, or the foods, everything, this will give you just a momentarily satisfactions only. It only gives you like a seconds or maybe few minutes of the satisfaction, or maybe few days, or maybe a few months. And then again, that your attachment or desire doesn't end there, and then you want more than that. And then in between there, it's lots of other problems arises. Lots of dissatisfaction arises. So, you really have to be very careful. Instead of being clever into other people, to ruin other people's life, or to become more better in such like a name or fame, you have to be very clever for yourself. Yeah, you have to be very careful with all these like mind and 51 mental factors. It's all in you. You have to recognize it. Which mind lead you in wrong directions? Which mind is the for that kind of leading minds to distract or to stop that thinking? That's you have all these rights on you. So instead of being clever on others, to become clever yourself for your inner peace. Yeah, so that kind of thing. I'm not saying that you don't have to go for like doing big things, but at least always remember that you have to have a positive thought together with it. I don't mean that you don't have to do all these things and it will lead you the sufferings or something like that. But if you have a positive thoughts, accompanied by all this progress, you have limitless satisfaction. Yeah. More, even you do the business, you teach in the schools, or you teach in the public, or whatever, or even you are a doctor, whatever the things. If you are position, if you are profession, if you have the positive mind together with it, and then it is a plus point, we said. Always leads you happy. It will, happy within you, happy with your family, happy with your society. Yeah, and for example, if the doctor in the hospital, if sometimes he become negative thoughts arises, and he become very stressful, anger. It's very dangerous for the patient. Sometimes maybe because of his anger, something will go wrong, and then the patient will die because of him. It really happens like that. So for that, you really need a positive thought every time on your professions to lead it more reasonable, more successful, or something like that. So this is the short describing about the mind, which is my English is not that good also. So now I will just read through some books that I have read yesterday, and so I'm just just reading the 51 factors, mental factors, yeah? So it has divided into the groups. So first I will read the 5 ever-present factors. Is the sensation, perception, intention, contact, and attention. These 5 are the 5 ever-present factors. And then another one, and the 5 object determining factors is like interest, appreciation, mindfulness, concentration, and intelligence. These are the 5 object determining factors. Yeah. And another comes with the 11 Burgess states. Yeah. Faith, dignity, property, non-attachment, non-aggregation, non-delusion, diligence. Oh, that's, I don't know how to read this one. Consciousness, okay. And then equanimity and non-violence, these are things. And there's a 6 root destructive emotions: ignorance, desire, anger, pride, doubt, and beliefs. So these 6 root destructive emotions, you really have to know, you have to observe every time. Oh, what is your mind leading you in which direction? These are the main actor, even in the movies they are main actors, you know. Ignorance, desire, anger, pride, doubt, and beliefs. Also these are the 6 root destructive emotions. It will always distract. They are very active, especially in our daily life. It's very active, you know. So then again it comes with 20 subsidiary destructive emotions. It's like rage, resentment, spitefulness, cruelty, envy, deception, pretension, lack of shame, disregard, concealment, miserliness, self-satisfaction, lack of faith, laziness, carelessness, forgetfulness, inattention, lethargy, excitement, and distraction. So this is 20 subsidiary destructive emotions. And at last there's a 4 variables: sleep, regret, conception, discernment or something. So this is like these 4, the last 4 one is like what you call silent killer, we said, you know. They are in us. This will lead something, it won't really, you know, immediately harm you, but it's like slowly it will make your life more miserable, you know. Sleep, it means that so it doesn't mean there's a necessary of the sleep, but sometimes because of the sleeping, or it's like when you do the practice, when you do the meditations, you feel sleep, and then then it will disturb your meditation, so and so things. And the regret, conception, discernment, these all are like I can say it's like a as I said, it's like silent killer. Yeah? It's very silent in your mind. It's not so active. It's not so active, but it will sometimes destroying our practice or whatever we're doing. It kills us slowly like that. Okay, so now I think half an hour is past now. So I hope you have understood a little bit of the my broken English with the explaining the mind, the nature of the mind, and so things. Hope it will help you. Oh, thank you. Jambe bo jidra kyamba da gundo sambo de yan de jin de da kunje je son da lo jin gyawa de da tham je ra do ngo de sum shebe gyawa tam ngo ga na cho de nga ba de da yi je we za wa de gun jan sambo ju je ra do ngo wa yin ji